We have had, among other things, a lot of conversation about bipartisanship tonight, which is a value of mine. I think it makes policy better. But as our good colleague from the 125th said, elections do have consequences, which means that this budget is going to reflect those consequences. But I want to say straight up from the Finance Committee, the policy in the revenue side of the budget that I was most excited about was one that we took from Ronald Reagan. That's the Earned Income Tax Credit that we decided to build on to deliver a real, tangible benefit to those people we've also discussed a lot tonight, those most vulnerable in our communities, most need a little help from the state at this moment of great uncertainty. I'm proud of that, and I think it represents both the kind of help that we've all discussed wanting to do tonight and building on a bipartisan policy. And then I want to touch on a lot of conversation both tonight and another debate on other bills about the sort of just-in-case thing. I think that's why we're here. Certainly in the Finance Committee, we spend a lot of time looking at projections, fiscal projections, economic projections. We're trying to see around the corners, trying to protect people of Connecticut from some instability that's out in front of us. I would submit that the Budget Reserve Fund, which is pretty important to us right now, took a lot of years of work, is a just-in-case. That's exactly what it is. It's there to protect us just in case we have an event that hits our revenues and puts everyone in jeopardy and makes us otherwise have to raise taxes and increase costs at a time when it's the worst possible time to do that. That is a just-in-case policy. It was enabled by the fiscal guardrails, which I would note are still in place. When we pass those fiscal guardrails, they have explicit provisions in them about how we go about adjusting them. That was contemplated from the beginning. So the adjustment that we are making here, the proposed adjustment to the volatility threshold, is exactly according to that procedure. And why did we have to make those substantial changes this year? I go back to, in particular, a particular briefing that we had, the leadership of the Finance Committee with our nonpartisan analysts, at which we were briefed on the most recent consensus revenues. And among the things we learned, we took a pretty significant hit to our general fund revenues because of the instability in our economy now. Consumer confidence is way down. Projections about the economy have gone from 0 to negative. We hear about instability from our businesses, from our, the people and businesses and institutions across the state and how it's affecting them, and it's certainly affecting us. And in order to protect those who are already, or we fear, will become abandoned by the federal government, veterans, kids, we have to be serious about making some resources available to address that. So we've done that with those projections. I finally want to note, I know that, as others have said, there's a lot of things in this budget people like and don't like. That's what budgets are. I don't think there's any one of us in this room that likes every single thing in this budget. They're compromises. They're complicated. They're also tremendously hard work. And they're teamwork. As you've heard the responses to the various provisions tonight, with a lot of us standing up and defending the various provisions, because a lot of us have worked on these provisions. Not just the elected representatives, but our nonpartisan and partisan staff, many of whom have not slept much. So I hope we can respect in this chamber that work, because it is tremendous. It is principled, and it is aimed at protecting the people of Connecticut. You disagree with it or agree with it, it is hard, good faith work at pulling together a lot of complex priorities. Sometimes we make mistakes, we're humans. I hope we can always admit those mistakes, correct them, even when you're going to face ridicule for having made them in the first place. That is a really important part of our job. We've done that tonight as well. So I am going to conclude my own remarks by thanking everyone who has spoken tonight and worked on this bill. course, the good chair of appropriations, my co-chair in finance, who also worked very hard on this, and all of the staff who have been working tirelessly to pull this complicated document together, and I urge passage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.